Okay. Welcome to our Money in the Bank 2020 review, courtesy of the Wrestling Hypothesis podcast. Hope you all are doing well and had a great Mother's Day yesterday. I am the ABA. Joining me as always is Richard.
Hello, everyone.
Ricardo, who's in a new setting for this occasion.
What's up, y'all?
And lastly, the lovely first lady of the show, Tara.
Hello, beautiful people.
Yeah, as you guys know, as business as usual, this podcast is available to listen to on various different podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, RadioPublic, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Give us a subscribe over on our YouTube channel to make sure that you're all kept up to date for bonus content such as this very video. If you're listening via Apple Podcasts, please be sure to give us a star rating as well as some thoughts on what you think of our podcast. You can like our official page over on Facebook to keep up with the latest updates on the show as well as leaving us a review on there. And lastly, if you haven't done so already, you can check out episode 17, which was released Saturday and yet as of yesterday, using any of the aforementioned platforms, as well as visiting our website, anchor.fm/wrestling-hypothesis. On to the review here. Money in the Bank took place just last night at WWE's Performance Center. Overall, a good show. And it was honestly, the overall quality of the show was mostly predicated on the main event delivering the two Money in the Bank matches. And if that didn't happen, then this show would have been a bust, plain and simple. But thankfully, from what we've gathered, it did succeed on that front. But before that, we had Jeff Hardy against Cesaro on the kickoff show. They had a good match. Well, they were given a lot of time for a pre-show match, but I'm glad they did. They are two great workers, after all. Jeff Hardy did pick up the win after a Swanton bomb. And I'm not really sure why they didn't do Hardy against Sheamus on the main show, since that is the ongoing feud between the two as of late over on SmackDown. I guess they wanted to get a tune-up match for Jeff on the card and nothing more, and save the program with Sheamus for a later date. But we'll see where they go with that. The main show started off with The New Day defending their SmackDown Tag Team Championships against the Lucha House Party, against Miz and John Morrison, against the Forgotten Sons. Other than the Usos, who are out right now due to one of the Usos, I believe it was Jimmy, suffering a nasty leg injury, and they'll be out 6 to 9 months as a result, which is ridiculous. A huge blow to any tag team division out there. Never mind SmackDowns. This match had the rest of the tag division pretty much in there. And it just goes to show, if nothing else, the lack of depth in that division. But to the match, I did like the spot in the match where Grand Metalik gave John Morrison a Spanish fly off the top rope to the outside and landed on everybody else, wiping them all out. That looked great. Metalik was being beaten down for a while by Forgotten Sons and Miz and Morrison before making the hot tag to Lince Dorado, who did look great here. He gave John Morrison at one point a nice springboard Hurricane Rana into a pin, a la Rey Mysterio in his prime. Kofi had some time to shine of his own, but Morrison took him out. Big E was nailed with the Forgotten Sons signature move, followed up by Morrison's Starship Pain, which, always looks great when he does it, but it really, if you think about it, it does lack any real impact to the opponent. Like, the momentum isn't there by the time he makes contact with his opponent, which is barely. Both Dorado and Metalik with outside dives to everyone, but Big E and Kofi nailed the big ending and Trouble in Paradise respectively on both of them and got the pin to retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles. A good match. It was exactly what it needed to be. I can see the Forgotten Sons getting the next opportunity solely against the New Day, if only because they've already done Miz and Morrison and they pinned Lucha House Party. So that's where I see them going with that.
I would say that the Forgotten Sons is actually in a good spot right now, better than they ever was in NXT, going after the tag titles. I would say this is the only team that's actually doing good that got from NXT to the main roster, and they're going upward, and they're getting more TV time that they've ever gotten, way more than gotten in NXT. So, like you said before, it was a solid match. New Day won again, but Forgotten Sons, they're there. So I would say, in my opinion, on the next pay-per-view or possibly the next event, whatever, no matter what that is, I got the Forgotten Sons winning the chip.
I mean, I would hope that they would get more TV time, considering that they fired basically everyone. So, I mean, I guess it's that they did what they needed to do with what they have. So, I mean, it's not a surprise. We all anticipated this win and this outcome.
Right.
Yeah, if not the Usos, who are out, like I said, are out right now, and is a big blow to their division. The New Day is their go-to tag team.
Yeah,
whenever
basically.
it comes to carrying the load of their division and the titles for someone else to come along.
I mean, in all fairness, though, the New Day does have like a really great pull, and they have like they ooze that charisma that we speak about. Um, so I guess it is like the best option for right now, especially during this time. I guess they can still carry it over with their gimmicks.
Okay, Richard, anything to add?
No. Uh-uh.
Okay, up next we had R-Truth against Bobby Lashley. They decided to tack this onto the main show for some unknown reason when it was originally intended to be on the pre-show. And they also changed the matchup itself from MVP against R-Truth to Bobby Lashley instead. They explained the change by having Lashley simply come out and told MVP that he got this. And Truth, I gotta say, was his usual great self here by nonchalantly just slapping Lashley across the face. I thought that was pretty funny. This was pretty quick as to the match itself. Lashley dominated throughout and nailed Truth with a spear for the win. I don't get the need to have the match on the main card. No one was really asking for this. At least, if the only good thing I could say about it is at least it was fast and it was just out of the way before I moved on.
Honestly, I was speaking about this with my dad yesterday, and we were discussing R-Truth is actually a really good wrestler. It's just he's very much underused
Comical?
and like well, they use him in a comical role, but I mean throughout his career he's like it's kind of like a Kofi thing. Like I feel like he deserves like a shot at the title if they seriously ever gave it to him. Like I feel like he would suffice pretty well, but it's just kind of like, especially because he's been in the industry for so long, but they just never give him a chance, and it's like the most bizarre thing.
No, they give him a chance. They give him a chance at that time when he was in a small feud with Cena. Like that was actually like.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't matter.
I mean, he did a good job. From what I remember,
He did a good job. He did a good job, but then after that, where did he go?
I mean, we understand.
I mean, they just moved on from him. They only saw him as nothing more than a filler challenge for Cena at that time.
I feel like it's kind of like a Kofi situation with him. Like he's just constantly overlooked. And remember, Kofi really didn't get that push until fans are going berserk for him at that. Like that was the only reason why they even like kind of they were like, oh shit, like Kofi has fans. Like Kofi has people backing him up. Like I feel like R-Truth has that same momentum. So I kind of feel bad that he's been in the company so long, but he doesn't get any kind of chances.
Recognition, you mean?
Yeah, basically. Right, and touching on R-Truth, you mentioned that is a good point actually, Tara. And also keep in mind that R-Truth actually did have a nice main event slot for himself over in TNA in like the mid 2000s. So we actually, if there's any proof out there that shows he can go and be successful in a main event capacity, it's right there.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope
TNA run.
He's like been with the company for so long. It's kind of, I'm pretty sure if he can, like, he would be able to carry it. But I don't know, man. I don't know why Vince just sees him like as that mid card role.
Pretty much.
Yeah. After that, we had Bayley against Tamina for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley was accompanied by Sasha Banks for this match. They decided to go with Tamina for the title match for this event. I have no idea why. Maybe it's because WWE figured they'd rather have Tamina in this situation than in the Money in the Bank ladder match with the other women for fear of injury, since she is one of the older women there. I'm not going to think too much into it.
Woman there.
What was that?
She's the oldest woman.
That's true, yeah.
She's in her 40s. She's in her 40s?
Holy
yeah.
Shit.
She's the oldest female of the whole roster.
So I'm going to say Shayna Baszler is like 39.
But she can go.
Yeah, but she could go.
Exactly. Tamina was not all that good to begin with.
Oh, you should.
like what I have to say for this match between Bayley and Tamina, not gonna lie, this was Tamina's best match ever, because like she really went hard for this match, and
I hope she's retiring if she's going that hard.
Well, true, but the thing, like this was Tamina's best match off the entire duration she's ever been in the WWE, because every single time she's been in a match, either a one-on-one setting or an attacking setting, she was never ever recognized until now. She's in a feud with Bayley, and now since the feud is done and since Bayley retained, the only question is what's next for Tamina. The answer is nothing, but in retrospect, since the main end all match is going to be Bayley and Banks later on in the summer, but due to the ramifications of what's going on, they might diffuse that and not wait till August. So if they don't pull the plug between Bayley and Banks right now, it's a long-standing issue that we will never get the end result of.
Right.
Like it needs
Yeah.
Sasha
Put them on a grand stage that they so deserve to have
exactly.
to showcase that.
Sasha and Bayley needs to happen right now. We can't wait till like SummerSlam.
I'm not going to lie to you. I genuinely do not care about another Banks versus Bayley.
Neither
you
do
mentioned
I.
that before.
Neither do I.
I don't care if it happens next year. I don't care if it happens tomorrow. I don't care. It is just recycled, reused, done millions of times. I don't care.
Look, the greatest part of Bayley versus Tamina was Sasha Banks' outfit. She looked so fucking fire. Like, she looked so fucking fire. I was like, God damn. I'm like, she looks sexy with that blue hair. Other than that, there was nothing really special about the match. Bayley is trash. Tamina is trash. Don't give a shit about either one of these two bitches. I just want Sasha Banks to be champion and be done with it. That's it. Move on, Abba. Let's go.
I don't care about their friendship. I don't care. Like, it's not relevant.
Facts. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen far worse matches from these two than this one. Tamina did not look too bad in terms of her in-ring ability, and Bayley did her thing fine. Like I said, I've seen far worse matches from either women. Bayley retained. They beat down on Tamina afterwards, her and Sasha, and they moved on. They celebrated. We'll see what transpires from their tension. After that, we had Braun Strowman defending his Universal Championship against Bray Wyatt. Not the Fiend, Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt, which was interesting.
That was weird.
What was that?
That was it was weird as shit, that match. That was like, but continue. Just describe it.
Yeah. So this is a big man versus big man layout of the match we saw here. Strowman controlled things early on, throwing Wyatt over into the ring steps, into the post. Braun was charging at Bray at one point across the ring, but Bray sidestepped him and Braun ran into the announce table and got taken down. Braun needs to stop doing that. He's an idiot for doing that. Anyways, it was at this point that Huskus the Pig appeared behind the barricade and cheered Bray on, who gave Braun a DDT outside. Wyatt hit a tornado DDT on the inside of the ring and followed that up with a Sister Abigail, but Braun kicked out. Was going for another Sister Abigail, but Braun hit the chokeslam on Wyatt and went for another attempt to that god-awful charge at Bray I just mentioned on the outside and did so successfully this time. Braun was searching for something underneath the ring and slowly appeared back up wearing his black sheep mask from the days of him in the Wyatt family before he went off on his own. Wyatt was just ecstatic when he saw Strowman wearing the mask, and Braun came into the ring and kneeled before him, and they hugged. And then Braun slowly took the black sheep mask off and stomped on it and gave Bray a running power slam to retain the Universal title. Predictable outcome. Match wasn't too bad. The spot leading up to the finish was kind of creative. I'll give them that. And I did like that WWE brought up the history between the two and showed continuity of that. So kudos to them for doing that.
Their storytelling of that match, I'm like, it was okay. I would admit that. It was okay. It wasn't awful. It wasn't awful. But
I'm gonna disagree.
No. It was just the storytelling. That's the only
exactly.
thing it wasn't even trash. It wasn't even trash. Like, it was, I was like, okay. I'm like, that's a major point.
Exactly. When is the last time WWE has any continuity in their story when two people do it again? They don't really.
No. I'm gonna tell you after Ricardo finishes this point.
No. Like my shit is like mad short, but like the match was trash. Like that's the fact. But like the match was trash. But like you can't have a trash match but have a shitty storyline. I mean, have a decent storyline, which I completely understand. But I'm just saying, like, just the storytelling wasn't bad. That's all I would say. The match was trash though.
Okay, are you ready? Are you ready for my point of view? So my point of view was the match was trash. Bray looked out of shape. There were times that Braun Strowman looked kind of lost in what he was doing. The match didn't make sense at all to me, in my point of view. The one thing that they did bring up between the whole Braun bringing in the mask and Bray embracing it, that would have been cool if there was like something that led to Braun trying to bring Bray back. Like it was so weird for it to happen mid-match, and then it was even more bizarre that like this is what I was talking about with creativity. It's like they could have actually done something with it. Like it's weird that it happened mid-match, but they could have kind of curated something a little bit more than how it ended the way that it ended. I don't know. It was just kind of so bizarre to me. Like, why bring it up if you're just not going to continue it or do something with it? It just seemed very like, oh yeah, but what about this? And yeah, Braun still wins. I don't know. It just seemed like they had that window to utilize that storyline for something way bigger, way better, and they fell flat and they just did it way too quick, and it just kind of just seemed sloppy. So even though they did have a somewhat of a storytelling, it's still like a C- for effort.
I mean, how I perceived that spot, honestly, towards the end of the match was, Braun just playing mind games with Bray. Like he felt that was the only way that he could get the better of Bray there and outright beat him in the end. So Bray could be be caught off guard by that.
It would have been cooler if it was like with the Fiend, or I don't know. It's like
I get what you're saying. Maybe
I
I'm
don't know.
maybe I
It's
am
just
giving
like
them
they could
maybe I am
have
giving them
had,
too much credit.
because there is nothing for Braun after this. They
Yeah.
could have somewhat opened up a little bit of a feud instead of like a haha Bray, I got one over you. Like they could have had like a better feud, and Bray Wyatt would carry the hell out of this shit because of his creativity and how he thinks and what he does. They could have had something a little bit better. Like they could have been like the Randy Orton versus Bray thing, like a few years back.
The difference is time. That's the difference.
That's also true.
And also SmackDown is lacking a lot of top names. That's also an issue.
But that's like, but that's my point, is they could have built up Braun in a certain way or a certain light because they actually have a storyline for him instead of just throwing random people in there. I don't know. It could have I think it could have been a great filler for whenever Roman comes back.
No, I definitely see where you're coming from, Tara. It's just a case of maybe just me myself giving them too much credit than they deserve.
Yeah, no, that's like when I look at it, it's like a C- for me, because I felt like you just basically summed up a huge part of Braun's career in like 2 seconds of a stare down.
Yeah, and they had and like we mentioned before, they definitely did have a history. They played on it. They showed continuity. That wasn't the main issue. The main issue, I get what you're saying, is the fact that they could have dragged this out and made it more meaningful.
They could have been more.
To the point where it could have meant something had they done that same spot later down the line.
I think this was a perfect way for them to actually boost through and show their creativity, and they fell so flat.
And not for nothing, I think it definitely hurt with that spot they were going for, to have that they didn't have a reaction to play off of.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what I think.
Fuel it up twofold.
Yeah.
And make it mean more important than it actually was.
It just like I said, for me, it felt too flat. Like it didn't portray that same, like everyone knew that he was going to like Bray. It was kind of like everyone knew Bray was going to still attack. Braun was still going to attack Bray. Everyone knew what was coming. Like it was no surprise. I felt like they could have really showed their creative side and made it something that was surprising, or that made it like everyone was just like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen next? Now I have to watch SmackDown, or have a little bit of interest in watching SmackDown. I saw your face, Ricardo. I saw that face.
I'll never be interested in SmackDown.
Yeah, now with Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon running things over there.
Yep.
I felt like they had a chance to make you semi-interested to at least watch a reel of highlights.
Aww. It was that was cute. Let's go.
We had Drew McIntyre against Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. McIntyre's first feud as WWE Champion.
Was a match.
After
that, I agree.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Just hold off on that thought. This was McIntyre's first feud as WWE champion after beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania last month to win the title. Seth came out to new entrance theme, and I did like the theme. It fit his character definitely more so than his old theme. So I like
it.
Mm-hmm.
My only thing is, I wish he had the white robe, like a pastor,
like he did on WrestleMania.
Yeah, like he did at WrestleMania. That was dope. I like that a lot.
I still like his attire. It's so like mischievous.
No, so do I.
Also, like it's cool. It's cool. It fits him. But continue, Abba.
Yeah, it's not out of place. I get what you're saying. But the match itself, McIntyre with the shoulder tackles onto Rollins to start things off and various chops as well. Rollins picked up momentum after a handful of suicide dives to Drew on the outside. Seth continued the damage with 3 jumping knees to McIntyre in the face. Drew catches Seth on another suicide attempt and actually threw him into the announce table, which looked pretty cool. McIntyre came back, hit some big boots. Rollins had a nice combo of moves from an enziguri right into a super kick, right into a frog splash from the top rope. He then nails that great superplex into a Falcon Arrow spot to McIntyre, which is never not impressive. Drew with the future shock. They were both on the top rope when Drew just threw Rollins all the way across the ring with the reverse German suplex. That looked freaking nasty. That looked incredible, that spot. Seth catches him with a super kick, followed by the curb stomp for a near fall. Seth was going for another curb stomp, but Drew catches him with a vicious headbutt that made this great sound, to which Seth rebounded off the ropes, hit him with a super kick, to which McIntyre rebounds off the ropes himself with the Claymore kick, gets the cover, and wins the match, and he retains the WWE Championship. This was a great match here. I expected nothing less with these two. Absolutely nothing less.
The match was dope. This match, sorry, my bad, Sarah, my fault.
No, go.
This match makes you wonder what's happening on Raw tomorrow. Or no, tonight. Sorry. Tonight.
Yeah. Especially with what they did post-match when they had Rollins obliged to McIntyre's show of sportsmanship.
Yeah. Now,
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Drew is like, even though it's like a weird time to be champion, I feel like he's slowly kind of growing into his character and trying to build something. He's like getting better, like as the weeks progress, and I feel like he's slowly finding what he is as like a face.
This past Saturday, we actually questioned if this was the right time for Drew McIntyre to be champion, and he's proving us wrong per each event. Like he's proving us wrong through each event, every Raw that just passed, and it's working. It's working. So he's pretty much what he's doing. He's adapting to the situation of what's going down, and it's really working. I gotta give him credit on that. And I gotta give credit to Seth Rollins on him proving. Seth Rollins proved what I said this past Saturday, which was stars helping other stars to prove what they're worth. Right? Seth Rollins helped Drew McIntyre prove that he's the right champion during this hellacious time during the coronavirus pandemic. So like I'm giving Drew McIntyre credit, but I'm also giving Seth Rollins credit based on how Seth Rollins is helping Drew McIntyre.
Oh yeah, I think Seth Rollins carried out a good portion of the match, but it's kind of like, well, actually not even a good portion. I felt like it was literally tit for tat. Like whatever Seth brought, like Drew McIntyre brought the same amount of energy, and I thought that was that was like so dope because Seth obviously is playing the heel, which is like, I think the heel is always like the better character to play because you just got to be an asshole. But like the way that Seth played the heel, I felt like I had doubts about Drew being a face, but like even as a face, I was like, wow, like he really does well as a champion because not only does he have the looks, he has the moves, he has the mic skills. Like I feel like he's just getting better, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to progress with this.
No, it's definitely interesting, considering the fact that Rollins did agree to that handshake that McIntyre offered to him. I don't really think anything else of it. By the way,
I think this is like the end of their feud. Honestly, I don't think this is gonna be like anything. I mean, no, like the way that it ended, it was still like a pretty like, damn, that's a good match. Like that was a good match. You did a good job. Like, I felt like that was like respect. So I'm still curious on what they're gonna do.
It remains to be seen.
Yeah, it does. That's why I think Raw does have an element of a reason, a reason to just check it out, if only to see what they're going to do with this storyline.
Right.
And then we get to the Money in the Bank ladder matches that closed out the show. As the men and the women had their matches go on simultaneously, as we all knew going into this event, which is a first, and had me worried, I'll be honest, how much of a cluster it could be. And as it turns out, it was not an issue that I had with this match, at least for myself. The rules were here that the competitors of both matches started off at floor level of WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, and had to fight their way up as they go up the floors and on the rooftop, where the ring, the ladders, and the briefcases will all be. For the women, we had Nia Jax, Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke, Carmella, Asuka, and Shayna Baszler. And the men consisted of King Corbin, Otis, Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, and Aleister Black. The participants were all introduced on ground floor at different rooms. The women started off at the lobby while the men began at the gym. And disclaimer, I might as well point out to you, the listeners here, wish me luck in trying to explain every freaking detail of this match.
No. I gotta stop you right there. You are not listing every single detail of both matches. That's a freaking paragraph. Okay? Just list the most.
That's not even a paragraph. That's a whole
it's an
essay with a thesis.
It's an essay.
With a whole damn thesis.
I gotta tell you guys. Let me just tell you guys. I literally have like a good 2 pages of notes just on this match.
No. I'm sorry. I'm not listening to that. I am not listening to that. All due respect. I am not listening to that.
He took the main point. He took the time to write it. State the main point. Summarize it. Just
Please.
make it a blurb.
Like I would say, summarize like the best parts of the match. Obviously,
fine.
Yeah.
All right,
okay.
fine. I'll try to pick and choose, so bear with me.
Do a females and then do a males and then just.
I was figuring like to go back and forth between the females and the males, like what we've seen play out. So
females first, then niggas. So just and then go ahead. Females first, ladies first. Go ahead.
All right, fine. I'll bear with me, guys. Like I said, they started off with the women, and when Asuka was being introduced, she didn't come out, and instead we see a shot of her on top of the floor balcony above all the other females and dived out to them, taking them all out. Asuka takes her time getting into the elevator, but she did so before the other women could make it to her, and they all started running towards the staircase. They showed the women fighting up the stairs, and they got to the same floor that the men did. Our first laps of both matches on screen, hand in hand. They fought at one point. The women, saying it's keeping the women here. They fought into one of the conference rooms in the building. Dana Brooke takes Nia Jax down with a steel chair shot to the back, and proceeds to get up on the table they had in the conference room over there and unhook the briefcase that just happened to be hanging by there. And she thought that she won. At this point, Stephanie McMahon, that wasn't the case after all, Stephanie McMahon appeared on screen, and it looked painfully obvious she wasn't actually there with them, but whatever. She let Dana know that the real briefcase is located on the roof, and she disappeared. Let's see here. We see Asuka ask a janitor where the briefcase is and started yelling at him viciously in Japanese. I would not want to be yelled at by Asuka like that. The other women ran after her, and Dana Brooke slipped and fell on her head due to the fact that the floor was slippery after the janitor was just mopping. We see Shayna being hit with some big moves from the other women, and she was taken out. We actually didn't see her for the rest of the match. We then get a shot of the rooftop where everything was set up. Nia Jax threw Asuka into shot up there, and Lacey Evans was right behind them. They all went into the ring. Nia sets up a ladder and starts climbing it, but Asuka prevented her and was on top of the ladder with Evans, and Asuka managed to shove her off into Nia Jax, wiping both of them out. And Asuka reaches up, and we see King Corbin climb up the same ladder Asuka was on and prevented her from winning, inexplicably. I have no idea why that was happening. But she kicked him off regardless, unhooks the briefcase, and Asuka wins the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, giving herself a future title opportunity. I'm happy that they won with this move. Like I said in the prediction show, Asuka has been the true standout in these empty shows on Raw the past few months now. She has been consistently entertaining, and to an extent, she did need this. And people could argue perfectly fine that Shayna Baszler needed to rebuild herself. And that's true, but we're not even supposed to be in this situation with Shayna, if we're being honest. She did not even need to be in this match when she was supposed to beat Becky for the title at WrestleMania. They didn't do that, and that was it. There was their opportunity. Her fate was sealed from then on. Winning this briefcase wasn't going to do a whole lot for her.
Hold on, Abba. I just want to make a point. Ricardo. So, what happens to wait till Money in the Bank to see what happens to Shayna?
Well, first of all,
Well, yes, I'm listening.
First of all,
Yes,
if you look back on our episode,
yes.
it was like either the second episode before this one, I did say, and I did agree that if Shayna loses, my backup was Asuka, and I did say if Shayna loses, it's a wrap for her. So clearly, I did agree what y'all said.
But you said it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
No.
Faith.
My exact words was I said wait and see what happens. I said if she loses, she loses. That's what I said. And then I also said Shayna Baszler is the one female in the match that could, even if she does lose, she could still get an opportunity like that because she has that cachet to do it based on how she is come from NXT. I said that.
But yeah, that was an agreement with Kenny. But you were banking on Money in the Bank. Oh, you see what I did there? Oh my God, play of words.
Wait, I will say this though.
Well, actually,
Well, Tara, let Richard give his thoughts on the match and the outcome.
I will say this. Yes, Shayna needed to win this match, but at the same time, you could say that for Asuka, and here's why. If you really think
Asuka needed to win,
yes, here's why. If you truly think about it, this is the first time since 34 that Asuka is in line for a huge push. Really think about this for 1 second. After when she was beaten by Charlotte at 34, what did she really do? Let's be real, right? Now that she's won Money in the Bank, she is now in line to be the next champion. We've all wanted Asuka to be a top name in the women's division. We could all agree to that due to her work ethic and everything else. Now, since she has the briefcase, it's only a matter of time of how she carries herself with the briefcase, and also a matter of time of when she cashes in. Because she could cash in with at least anybody, whether it's Becky, whether it's Bayley, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, she's going to be now the top female, really, hopefully soon, when she cashes in that briefcase and become the next women's champion. As for Shayna, right now, we don't know where she goes from here in terms of Shayna. Like, your main thing with Shayna was to have her win at 34. That didn't happen. And going back to opportunity, like he said, she didn't really need it to be in Money in the Bank match anyway, but it is what it is. Now, since she's lost in terms of Shayna, we don't know where she's going from here, and so on and so forth. Asuka is now like the next person in line to win the women's championship.
Well, no one is mad that Asuka got the briefcase, but however, I think Shayna was still like, I feel like as far as her career, it kind of like dwindles down only because she didn't even look strong in the Money in the Bank.
She didn't. She looked weak.
Yeah, she didn't
she
look
didn't
that great in the.
I wouldn't. Weak is a strong word. I wouldn't say.
I wouldn't say weak. I would say
weak.
she was just in the background.
She didn't look as dominant as she needed to be, and I felt like there were many moments where they could have made her still look like a dominant presence, where they could have still played on that like later, but they didn't. They just kind of just used her as like Nia Jax got more play than Shayna did.
Look,
Lacey Evans got more play.
Look.
And that's my point. You cannot make her out to be the mean bad girl when she is doing nice things.
Shayna Baszler did not look weak, Richard. She looked uncomfortable. That's the correct word in that match. She's hardly been in any ladder matches. That's not her forte. That's not her style of match. Like for example, remember when Taker fought Edge in the TLC match for the world title?
Yeah.
You could obviously tell Taker wasn't comfortable in that match. That's not his style. You can't fit a big man into a match that he's not comfortable in. They've put Shayna Baszler in a situation, Money in the Bank, in a match that she's not used to and she's not comfortable in. That's not her style of match. She's more of a 1v1 or a tag team or a triple threat or a four-way type of match.
Saying they could have gave her that option of where she had that one-on-one thing where she showed her dominance, and they didn't do that. And I think that's where it kind of they fucked up, because like now it's like, what are they
gonna do with Shayna right now?
They don't. She doesn't look strong. Like she doesn't look as strong.
You're
because
right.
it was just too soon.
No, because like I had a conversation with Richard not that long ago. It was actually this morning, right? It was actually this morning that like all the questions that we have about everything is not surprising to me, because it's the way that WWE is in terms after WrestleMania. It's a roller coaster. It's a downward spiral on how we question everything. No matter who wins Money in the Bank, or who's world champion, or who should go where, whatever. This happens all the time. This happens all the time.
You know why I'm smiling?
Why are you smiling?
Because you had faith.
Yeah, I have faith. Shayna Baszler is my homie.
That's your big mistake, Ricardo.
Like,
he was willing to die by his word, and we were all like, no.
And I am dying by my word.
I mean, to be fair to Ricardo, I also predicted that Shayna would win in the predictions.
Exactly.
So.
And I'm still not sleeping on my girl Shayna Baszler. That's my homie. Right? That's my homie.
It's not the fact that we're like, none of us are sleeping on Shayna Baszler. The thing that I'm agreeing with your point.
We're questioning her.
We're questioning the way that she's being booked. That's the thing.
Yeah, we agree. No. We absolutely agree on that. No question.
I think she's gonna be buried.
Because here's the thing. It's been proven time and time again that every single time a talent from NXT gets called up, they go downward. Like, seriously, it's been proven so many times. And the fact that Shayna has this incredible talent, that she has the best woman, at the time for NXT, and now she's on the main roster, she could run through shit, and now the way that she's being booked is really frustrating. How she could have been women's champion a long time ago. She didn't really need to be in the women's Money in the Bank match. She really didn't. All she could have done was like, night after WrestleMania, I'm gonna fuck up Becky. Next pay-per-view, I'm winning the World Women's Championship.
I'm not. Well, Richard. To be fair, I'm not even saying that, because I mean it in the sense that Shayna shouldn't have been in Money in the Bank at all, because she should have beaten Becky for the title of Mania.
I think it could have still saved her character, because the way they
You think so?
her, yeah, because the way that they booked her in Money in the Bank, it just seemed like she didn't have any kind of a presence. And that's her whole thing, is that she has a presence where she dominates. As soon as she gets on to any kind of setting, she dominates. Man, female, doesn't matter.
Do you know who I blame for this happening while we're talking about this? And it's not even WWE. It's Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch currently right now is filming. I heard she's filming a movie or a TV show. It's one of the.
It's on HBO.
Okay, it's a show on HBO.
But she's coming back tonight.
The bitch is a horrible actress. We all know that. Anyway, so like,
I saw her performance. She wasn't that terrible. Like, my dad watches.
Any WWE star that's currently filming a show is straight trash. Okay, they ain't The Rock. They ain't The Rock or John Cena or none of them like that. Okay, they are trash. Okay, back to Becky Lynch. If Becky Lynch was in a WWE title match in Money in the Bank, Shayna Baszler would be the one that would be fighting Becky Lynch. She would win, and then we would have Asuka winning the Money in the Bank match, and we will have something different to talk about. We're like, Shayna Baszler versus Asuka at SummerSlam. Like,
yeah, what did we get instead? Now we got not one, not two, but 3 instances of WWE screwing up Shayna Baszler from the get-go on the main roster. We had the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and I'm saying,
We had WrestleMania. We had Money in the Bank last night.
And I'm saying, if it wasn't for Becky Lynch filming filming a show, she would be in Money in the Bank. She would lose. Shayna would win. Asuka's Money in the Bank, and we would have something different to talk about.
Okay. No, I see what you. No, I definitely get your point, Ricardo. You're definitely right.
Yes. Now it's raining outside. I'm getting fucking wet because it's fucking hot in my fucking car.
But yeah, no, I mean either way.
Before we move on? Oh, go ahead.
Yes, we can move on. We can move on because I proved my point to Ricardo.
Oh please.
I have a point to say about the men's Money in the Bank, but go, Abba.
Okay. Will do. Let's now on to the men. They were brawling all over the gym to start things off for their side, throwing each other to the machines they had there. King Corbin threw a plate to Bryan, but he sidestepped, and it smashed the mirror into pieces as a result. I got to mention this. Otis took AJ down at one point and proceeded to plant this whole bar stacked with plates onto AJ's chest so he wouldn't go anywhere. Otis leaves him behind, and AJ begs for Ray to help him, but he just moved on. I laughed at that. That was hilarious.
Otis is a dumb ass nigga. Keep going. I'm like,
okay. They showed Rey Mysterio running up at one of the floors, looking for the other competitors, and we see Bruce Pritchard in the bathroom, decked up in his Brother Love gimmick, his reddish shelf, laughing at Ray. You know, this is the same asshole who decided, let's fuck over SmackDown alongside Vince. Let's not make SmackDown better. It is what it is. What can I say?
Wait, before you continue, Alba, this is just a thought. If I was a wrestler, right, doing Money in the Bank, going all over the goddamn place of the headquarters of WWE, I'm jumping every fucking producer that works there because you are making a fucking shit show everywhere. I'm jumping Bruce Pritchard. I'm jumping Vince. I'm jumping every Richard, give me some names.
Of what?
I'm jumping Stephanie. I'm jumping Triple H.
What? Wait.
Hold on. I'm jumping every one of these motherfuckers for fucking up the abomination.
Wait,
what's happening in WWE.
Wait, excuse me. You can't blame Triple H. Triple H knows actually how to book good shows. So don't put my boy
the
in this.
niggas losing against AEW. Nigga, please. Go ahead, Alba. I just wanted to say that. I don't want to hear that for you. You got no defense on Triple H right now. Shut up.
Yeah,
no. Let me tell you. The concept isn't bad. It's just
not.
The booking of it was
booking
bad.
is bad.
What are you talking about? We're talking about of this ladder match?
Yeah, it could have been a dope concept. Like, it's fun. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of things for you to utilize. Like, it could have been the most craziest street fight used in with Money in the Bank.
I mean,
it could have been cool.
You saw them headquarters? Them headquarters was fucking clean. That shit was gorgeous. I remember when me and Richard was watching Raw one time, and he saw what the headquarters looked like. I'm like, yo, this look nice. I'm like, I could live here.
And plus,
it had a kitchen.
That gym. Shut up. That gym was elite. Gym was elite.
It had a kitchen. It had a gym. And
it had a retail area. It had a full retail area.
I'm like, nigga, I could live here. I could fucking live here. I was like, yo, for real.
That they could have been really creative with that, but that was a really dope concept if you really think about it. But it felt bad.
Vince that was pretty cool. I'm giving him that.
And plus Vince's office too. Vince's office is like
that wasn't even his office. That was like his meeting space.
No. That's his office. That's his office.
Nigga, please.
No, I know the office that you're talking about. You're talking about the office you saw back in '99.
Hell yeah. That's his office. My nigga Austin shitted on his office. Literally. Kids don't know about that shit.
Go, Abba, go.
Go ahead, my guy. Go, Abba.
It's getting all nostalgic with this review, I see.
Okay, continue. Abba has like a whole page and a half to go.
Like I said, I'll try my best to pick and choose. Man. Let's see. One point we had one spot where Bryan had Corbin trapped in the ropes that were set up on this one particular floor they were on, and hits his yes kicks, all while Otis was shouting out yes constantly. And Daniel turned his attention to Otis and took him down and ran off. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was funny too. I was
yeah.
like, when Brian was kept hitting Corbin with the yes kicks, I'm like, nigga, who the fuck you talking to? No one's talking to you. I'm like, just attack. Like that's
right.
I don't know. Who are you talking to?
Yeah, Otis was a true standout in this match. That's for sure.
He made the match entertaining. I'm giving him that.
Yeah, for sure. Back to the men, they showed AJ trying to find Rey Mysterio alongside one of the hallways, and along the way, he sees a poster of Undertaker making one of his entrances at a WrestleMania, and he just froze in fear. And I love that they continued with the continuity here on the show with their recent feud at Mania this year, and didn't just move on completely from it. I like that. Speaking of continuity, AJ moves on and opens the door to a room filled with fog and blue lighting, very similar to what you would find Undertaker at in an environment like that. They then recapped the Boneyard match where Taker buried AJ alive as a flashback, and AJ refused to go in there. But Aleister Black came from behind and kicked AJ right from behind, and into the room AJ went, and he closed the door, and we heard AJ yelling. I like that. It was simple. It was straightforward. I liked it.
I like that was Aleister Black that did it.
Yeah.
I still think that Aleister Black should have been like the new person carrying on the Undertaker's legacy, but
yeah.
Continue.
I mean, there's still a chance, but it seems like it's kind of just a lost cause at this point.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. We see a shot of Paul Heyman sitting and eating food from a table filled with food. It was basically a buffet over there. When all the participants from both the men's and the women's matches run into each other and they had a standoff, Dana Brooke runs into Heyman, still having that poster over her that I should have mentioned earlier. And we see Otis grabbing a piece of bread, and he just started spazzing out. I love this. I don't know what the hell was going on with this guy, but I thought he was just incredibly entertaining throughout. And he just proceeded to grab a bowl of grains. I'm not sure what was exactly in there, and just threw it all over Heyman. He then yelled "food fight," and everyone got into it with the food. And we see Shayna Baszler applying the cure food at clutch to Mysterio, to which Otis and Nia Jax crushed Rey Mysterio when they ran into him.
Wait, that happened?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. So it was one of those blink and you'll miss it moments, but yeah, it did happen.
I missed that moment. I didn't know that happened. Because I'm watching highlights and it didn't show that. So that's why I brought that. I was like, that shit happened. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
No, that was a really good moment, but I don't know. It was like when I was watching it in my head, I was just kind of thinking back to like the whole comedy factor. Like when I saw the food fight, all I was thinking was like Jerry Springer, Maury, and how they still really are trying to like make it like a funny comedical bit.
Yeah, like anything could happen, like that kind of
yeah, it was so like trashy that they did that. But I mean, whatever. Like, it is what it is. I guess it worked out, but it could have been cooler.
Yeah. Nia Jax and Otis at one point got face to face and just stared at each other for a while before walking off separately, I guess, as a sign of respect. That was probably it, because they were the biggest male and female in the match, respectively. So
they left because they were fucking hungry. They wanted food. You saw face to face. We were like, yo, Nia Jax went that way. Otis went that way. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get this turkey right here, and like you just get that big piece of ham right over there. These two.
Might have been the case.
I thought they were gonna have like a love connection. I was like, oh my god, if they do the two big people falling in love, I'll be so tight for them. Why make that face against big love?
There's nothing wrong with big love, but nigga, please, like, letting piece of an ass like that, like
Mandy.
Thank you, Richard. Mandy Rose for her? Fuck out of here. Nope.
Yeah.
Something wrong with you. You leave an ass like that, like Liv Morgan, and you go to Nia Jax. That's disgusting.
Mandy Rose, dude.
You don't.
With Enzo.
No.
Look at Enzo. Exactly. He did the same thing.
He went from Liv Morgan to literally Nia Jax.
Enzo's retarded. Enzo's retarded. That's what happened to him.
Yeah. Just to continue here, we see Otis enter a room with another buffet and helped himself to more food. And then we see John Laurinaitis right up behind him in his little scooter that is synonymous with him and pretty much him only on WWE programming. And he just yelled out, "People power," in his raspy signature voice of his. And Otis, in response, shoves a pie into the man's face and he moves on. Let's see here. Brian and AJ were going at it. That's what they showed us next.
This was my part.
This was my favorite part.
This
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah,
Go,
this was
go,
funny. They entered one of the rooms around there, and we see Vince McMahon, the chairman of the board himself, rise up from his seat in his office and told both of them to get out, which they did, but not before going back in and fixing his chairs and putting them back where they were.
That was hilarious.
That was fun.
It was okay.
That was funny because it was the way they did it. It was like the way they did it. They just stopped, look at each other. They was like, you know what, let's go. And then AJ stopped, and then AJ stops Brian. I'm like, wait, we gotta fix the chairs. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let's fix this.
Yeah, we made a mess around here. We got to fix it for Vinnie Mac over there.
They didn't really make a mess. They just moved 2 chairs. Like, they won't mess what they made, right? They were like, let's just fix these chairs. If I was AJ, I'm like, yo, how's Linda? I'm like, she good? I'm like, she cool? God, I'm like, what about your bitch ass daughter? She cool? Like, like shit like that. Yeah, I'm talking to you, nigga, Richard.
Richard about to kill you.
It's like, how's the kids? They cool? Like, I was just left. They're like, they cool. I'm like, and if I was Vince, I'm like, you want to get fired? I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I'm like, I'm out, just like that. That was the best part of the whole match, in my opinion. That was funny.
These two continued fighting. Brian and AJ did, but before Corbin and Aleister Black intervened, and Corbin pretty much took all of them out in another conference room. Let's see. We already said our piece about the women's match. We're just going to move on with how they did the men's. We see Otis appear on the rooftop himself and Corbin and they were just going at it. Aleister Black appears and gives the black mask to Otis. Him and Corbin were fighting on the outside. And Corbin proceeds to throw Aleister Black out of the roof, presumably off the building. Obviously, that wasn't the case, but they wanted you to believe that. So they did the same thing with Rey Mysterio. Corbin threw him over the roof. You know what? They wanted us to believe that they died, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's typical WWE. They want to spin they want to spin a few things up over us, the fans.
Yeah, they low-key tried too hard.
Yeah, they really did. I felt like that wasn't necessary.
I'm like, chill out, y'all. It's a match. Just treat it like a match. I don't mind if it's cinematic, but like, just chill out. Do what you gotta do.
Like I said, it's a great concept, but it fell flat.
Yeah, going back to Ricardo's point, they did overthink a lot of the spots here.
Yeah, I'm like, chill out. Not that serious.
Yeah. Back in the ring, AJ, go ahead, Tara.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, I feel like they were so excited with this concept that they were like, let's make it like the biggest thing ever.
No,
like,
I will admit, it was entertaining. I would say that.
I will give them credit. Like, for their first attempt, they did a pretty damn good job with it. Even though some places weren't perfect.
I just wish I just wish they don't do this type of Money in the Bank next year. That's all I'm saying. I won't have a problem if they do it again like this next year.
We'll see. When people start throwing things to the wall and seeing what sticks with new ideas, and in tough situations, whenever things go back to normal, they might just hold on to that.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like, I could definitely, like, we had 2 nights of WrestleMania this past year. I wouldn't surprise me at all to see them go with it moving forward.
Right.
Let me just go back to the notes here. AJ gives Otis a phenomenal forearm back inside the ring, and he starts climbing up the ladder, and so did Corbin as well. They were punching each other. AJ and Corbin both unhooked the briefcase, and they proceeded to fight over it and making the other let go of it. And we see Elias appear from out of nowhere and smashes a guitar over Corbin's back, and he just fell, letting go of the briefcase. He was down and out. AJ thought he had won, but he got a case of the Butterfingers, dropped it, and Otis catches the briefcase. And the bell rang, and Otis wins the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, and he gets a future title opportunity. To say I was shocked that he won is an understatement. I had AJ to win this match and the briefcase. I'm almost positive that nobody predicted Otis winning the contract. And you know what? I'm not all that upset about the outcome. I'm really not that upset.
Okay, you're tripping. Keep going.
I'm being honest. I am being honest. I wasn't that upset.
No,
go ahead. You know what? Give your thoughts.
Here's my thing. None of us even thought of Otis winning at all.
I thought it was weird he got the push.
Okay, but here's why this is good. This is my point. It's about his push, right? And this reminds me, because I told this to Abba, this reminds me of another push way back in the day. And Ricardo knows what push I'm about to talk about. Ricardo, remember the big push Rikishi had in 2000?
I like Rikishi's push.
No, okay. So remember the push that Rikishi had, like
I gotta see where you're going with this.
Summer into fall, right? Rikishi was big with the crowd. Vince didn't even realize how much popular Rikishi was and stuff like that, right? The company gave Vince and everybody else backstage gave it some thought. I'm like, you know what? Let's push Rikishi and let's see how this goes, right? They're pushing him. Well, he won the Intercontinental Championship and stuff like that. He was high with the crowd, so on and so forth. But they pushed him way too far to the point in which they put him into the storyline that he was the main person going after Austin when he hit him last year at Survivor Series of 99, right? Now, in terms of Otis, he's big with the crowd. He's popular with everybody else. Just like when Rikishi won the Intercontinental Championship, Otis won the Money in the Bank. The thing is, with Rikishi's push, it was doomed to fail. And it failed. And ever since it failed, Rikishi hasn't been the same since. Now with Otis is very popular and everything like that. In terms of Otis, is it fresh? Yes. But the thing is, will it go to the end result? In terms of the end result that Otis will possibly have, to me, he's not the right person to push right now. Because, one, he could be very popular, but for how long? In terms of his cash-in, me personally, his cash-in is not going to be successful.
Okay. When you said Rikishi, I was with you, but then you lost me how you brought up Otis.
No,
because,
I'm saying...
Hold up. I understand why you brought up Rikishi. But
they're both big men.
They're both
men. I get it. Here's the difference.
Otis can wrestle.
Well, no, we know. The charisma is different. Extremely different.
No, but Rikishi
back in the day, I heard you, nigga. Shut up. I heard you. Rikishi brought a swag different than Otis did. Okay? He did it by himself with no female next to him, which is low-key, like, Liv Morgan's, like, holding his hand.
Liv Morgan? What?
Mandy Rose, what? They look the same to me. I'm not going to lie to you. They look the same to me. Like, whatever. But,
what?
Like, whatever. But here's how I disagree about Rikishi, because it's two different eras, right? Two different eras. And that era, you had, with Rikishi, big-time players, all in their prime. Everybody was in their prime, right? Whereas with Otis, it's a different time, different circumstances, and not everybody's there. So, and here's how I would say this could help, not the main event, the tag team division. If Otis cashes in.
I know where he's going with this.
If Otis cashes in towards the tag team division, it'll bring a different perspective towards the Money in the Bank, because it's not always have to be the
main title.
The main title. Don't get me wrong. Everyone will have to say the main title. But this is about knowing your place. If Otis cashes in against the tag titles, even if in Raw or SmackDown, doesn't matter. It will be like, okay, he cashes in the Money in the Bank on the tag titles because obviously his other guy in Heavy Machinery, he's injured. We know that.
No, he's not.
So he's just been chilling.
He's just there. They're just not using him.
Okay, cool. So whatever. I thought he was injured personally. I honestly thought he was injured. So if he cashes in Money in the Bank against the tag titles and wins, so I'm like, you see a different perspective in the Money in the Bank. It will help Money in the Bank in terms of everything else, and it gives you a different perspective. And that it's not always that it has to be the main title. It can help the other titles, like in the tag team or the United States or the Intercontinental title.
Okay, but
it cannot just be the main title.
Okay, but if he does not cash in against the tag titles, in your opinion, and this goes for everyone else, do you think that Otis's cash in will be a success or a failure?
I don't think so.
No, it depends.
If it was against the
Because
world
I
title,
think it's going to be a failure.
It depends.
And the reason why
it depends on how they're going to book it.
Exactly.
it depends on how they perceive him.
Exactly.
Is not only how they perceive him, and this goes back to what Ricardo said a few moments ago. The main focal point is Tucker. Tucker is his tag team partner. If Tucker sees Otis is getting all the
attention, the fame,
Tucker's gonna say like, "Yo, where the fuck? What about me?" and shit like that. You had a WrestleMania match. You were in Money in the Bank. You got the girl of your dreams, and I'm just being here as your sidekick. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Listen, Richard, that's great and all, but
yeah,
I'm going to be completely honest. I'm pretty much done with failed cash-ins right now. I really am, especially for the men. They have butchered that concept for the men's side of the Money in the Bank the past 3 years, if we're being honest.
Exactly.
It kind of fell short after Baron Corbin. You can never get worse than that cash in.
Exactly.
Otis can cash in and have a 3-minute match, and that'll still be better than Corbin's cash in.
Exactly. And Richard, you say in terms of cashing in. I'll tell you this right now. He has a better cash-in chance of getting the tag titles than any other title.
That's true. And here's something else. And here's something else we need to. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Ricardo. And just to add on to that argument, where was it here? I actually did hear Otis has gone on record in an interview to say that he would cash in the briefcase for a tag team title opportunity alongside Tucker, instead working to win this match, and he did.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Unless he's trying to throw people off a loop, and just surprise everybody when he does actually go for the world title, I doubt it. I could see him.
I doubt it as well.
I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I still think Aleister Black really needed this.
No, I'm not saying
really needed this. But I wonder if this was a last minute decision based off of last week's interview where the Revolt, oh my god, it's so weird saying their name, aired out their business.
You really think so?
I wonder, because I mean, it's not the first time that they made a last minute decision, but I mean, that would be the smartest decision.
That's honestly an entirely different circumstance. But if I see
But I mean,
Otis,
why? It's
no, I understand.
Weird.
Yeah, but you can't compare the Revolt and shit to this. That's entirely different.
No,
yeah,
I'm saying
it seems just a little bit far-fetched.
I'm saying because they aired out their business, basically on how their tag team divisions work. I wonder
old wrestlers air WWE's business all the time. I'm and it doesn't even affect.
But Ricardo, that's not to say that WWE never listens to them and actually responds in a certain way.
Yeah,
they have done that before. Not always, but
I'm just saying because everything has been so down and they're getting scrutinized so hard right now. I wonder if they're just no, we do have a good tag team division. I'm gonna show you.
I mean, it is what it is.
Like that.
I would have no problem if Otis cashes in on either Raw or SmackDown for the tag titles. I will have no problem with that. And then that's what Richard's worried about, the cash in. That and I'm giving you a reason on what he should cash in, which is the tag titles, which is better for Otis because even Otis knows his place. He knows his place. He can't hang around with the big dogs in the IC title picture or the United States picture or the main event picture. He knows his place. His place is the tag team division.
Yeah, and hopefully WWE knows his place too.
Yeah, exactly. If you cash in the tag team division, you're fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna I like Otis, but he doesn't bring that same. I don't know. I like Rikishi as a champion only because it was just so entertaining to watch him. He was a one-man show. When he dances, when he was on the mic, when it was just so you couldn't look away. It was funny, but it was just so entertaining. Otis doesn't have that same presence.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have that same exact presence necessarily.
Otis can't touch.
He works off of people. He doesn't I have yet to see him work off of himself.
Exactly. Otis can't touch Rikishi in terms of entertainment. I don't want to hear that. Like every time when he was with Too Cool, my ass is dancing right after the match. Every time when my nigga Scotty Too Hottie does the worm was one of the most hyped shits ever. And you see Otis doing it, and I'm like, yo, this shit is trash. And nothing is touching the worm when Scotty Too Hottie did it. Okay,
Ricardo, you're forgetting one big element of that whole thing you're saying. Because who's to say that the kids today are not doing that with Otis when they're watching him on SmackDown?
Nigga, please.
Ricardo, you were 20 years younger when you were dancing to Rikishi. Who's to say that the same kids around that age when you were doing it to Rikishi
because those kids don't know jack shit, breath smelling like Similac, don't know nothing about what it really was back in the day. Because today, when you see Otis doing it, it's childish, it's stupid, it's like he's losing his breath when he's doing the worm. When it's Scotty Too Hottie doing it,
well, Scotty Too Hottie, he didn't just do it as like a finisher. Like he did it as like his signature thing. Even when he came into the ring or after the ring, like he would always dance, and then like that was his dance fit too. That's Otis. That's just like his finisher. Like it's cool, but it's like he does it well. Don't get me wrong. Like I think he does it well.
But it's like every time he does
it's not.
It's not entertaining. It's not entertaining to me or appealing to me. I'm like, when I look at Rikishi, that nigga's funny. That nigga's jokes. He knows how to wrestle better than Otis, and he knows how to deliver himself in a match.
Well, actually, Otis, in terms of in-ring, Otis is the better wrestler. It's just Rikishi knew how to carry himself.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
That is basically what it is. I feel like with Otis, like he still needs to kind of like find his footing as far as him as a solo person, like a solo character.
And that's why it always brings up the question, like, was giving the briefcase to Otis was the right thing? And the answer, and to me, the answer is no. Like
you would not say no if he catches in the tag team division. Besides,
you don't
know what's going to go down.
Listen, I may have said that I don't mind. I'm not against the idea of giving it to Otis like they did last night. That's not to say that I think that's it's the worst, that there aren't better options. You could have had Alistair win, you could have had AJ win. Those are two infinitely better options in the grand scheme of things. They are legit world champion material. Otis not so much, at least not right now. Right. But at the same time, you could make something out of this.
Yeah,
you could make something out of this.
And that's why I brought up my point about the tag team division. It could work. It could work.
Any other thoughts?
Nope.
No.
Before we wrap it up? Okay. But to the match itself, overall, I thought it was great. I never lost interest. Everyone had a role and filled it nicely, and it was fun, even though Shayna Baszler kind of was taking a backseat to everybody else. And she could have looked way more dominant than she actually ended up being. And not to mention, I can't really say I'm mad with either of the winners, especially Asuka, because Asuka, I'm very happy for that she did get the opportunity again.
Yep. Happy for
What? What happened? Yes, exactly. Like, how could you not be happy for Asuka? But that'll do it. Thanks so much for listening to our Money in the Bank 2020 review. Hope you guys enjoyed our thoughts and insight on last night's event. Like always, we will be back with episode 18 of the podcast this weekend. Until then, have a good one, guys.
Later.
Peace out.